gaming is a huge fundraising industry for like Children's Miracle Network, Gamers Outreach, Red Cross. All of us have a wing where people stream it and raise money for disasters and things. Gamers Outreach does. They do carts, so it's a game. They take the game system and put them into a cart that is hermetically sealed and able to be cleaned, so it can be in a clean space. Because some of the kids in the hospital, they're limited on what can come in the room.
The immune systems,
right. So they've made game systems that are easier to sanitize and not mess up the system itself. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's built-in TV, built-in console, controllers, and roll it in, and the kids get to play from their beds. Things like that.
That's super cool. That's awesome.
Extra Life does some similar stuff, and they're part of the Children's Miracle Network, and it's a huge piece of their fundraising every year that they do, and hence the term Extra Life.
Extra Life. BAM! Welcome to the BAM BizTalk Podcast, where we cut through the fluff and dive straight into the real-world wins and lessons of entrepreneurship. This isn't just another podcast. It's your toolkit for building and learning what it really takes to grow and thrive in business as well as in life. I'm your humbly eccentric host, Angel Garcia, co-founder and CEO of BAM Entrepreneurial Center, and I'm here to pull back the curtain on the strategies, hacks, and habits of successful business owners who've been in the trenches. Each week, we'll bring you unfiltered stories from entrepreneurs who have been there, done that, and lived to tell the tale. We'll uncover the moments that shape their businesses, the wins, the stumbles, and the lessons they learned the hard way so you don't have to. It's about real talk, actionable insights, and practical strategies to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. So, if you're hungry for inspiration, thirsty for knowledge, and ready to make moves, you've found your tribe. So let's dive in, get real, and build something extraordinary. You're now tuned in to the BAM BizTalk Podcast, the playbook for the bold. Bam! Here we are with Mr. Shane Belle. Welcome, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. A little under the weather, but it goes with the weather.
It goes with the weather, yeah. You got to stay under it, because if we're having it, West Texas,
Just wait a minute, it'll change.
Wait 15 minutes. Yeah. I love it out here, man. So, Mr. Shane Belle, I recently met your acquaintance, and I got to say, from this little conversation that I did have with you, you're really interesting dude, and I'm really curious about you and inspired, really, of what you've done, not only what you've done, but what you're currently doing in building.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a great thing for the community that you're doing what you're doing, because what you are doing, it over the years, people have tended to shrug it off.
Absolutely.
Right? But it really, from what I'm hearing, it could have a major impact on the development of our community, people in general.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's the most cryptic intro ever. Everybody's like, okay, what is he talking about?
Yeah. Setting them up for.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with me growing up in Midland, or do you want to go hit what we're talking about first, or we want to leave people kind of hanging on their seats to where we kind of talk about how we got there?
I think we leave them hanging a little bit longer.
Well, Midland native. I call myself a naturalized Texan because I was born in Idaho. Dad was in the Air Force. So
Idaho.
I was born in Mountain Home, Idaho Air Force Base. My brother was born in Cheyenne, the Air Force Base there. And then we made our big back here. Mom and Dad are both from here. Lived in Roswell for a little while because Dad was working the oil field and all that. Came back here and grew up, started strong back here, second grade at West Elementary. So that really dates myself, right?
Okay.
And it's interesting, and this is kind of goes into play of how I got into doing what I'm doing. Is back when I was at West, he held me back when I moved to Midland from Roswell, saying New Mexico was behind.
Right.
Though to this day, I'm like, I aced my CAT test from what my mom and grandmother and everybody told me. Is like I got a really high score on the CAT test, and they still held me back. I'm like, thanks, MISD. But in full year second grade, we had the first computer in class back then. Wasn't a whole lot to it, it was little math games and things like that. Right. We talked about it. We back in the day, Radio Shack had that little cassette player that would hook to the TV.
Yeah.
And you would do games off cassettes on the TV. Still don't understand how it worked back then, but I was a kid and it was cool.
With that doggle splitter deal.
Yeah. Then, move forward a couple of years to 5th grade at Sam Houston. We had a Commodore 64 computer lab.
Yes, sir.
Doing old school Commodore change. The big thing, oh my God, today we're going to learn how to change the colors.
Right.
That was a big deal.
Made a square.
I want to say my teacher was Mr. Jimenez or something like that way back then, and then moving into high school at Midland High, I was in the 2nd year of computer science. So Mr. Landrum had written the Texas computer science textbook, and he was at Midland High. So I took computer science 1, computer science 2 at Midland High. Learned I didn't like programming. Good at it. Absolutely great at programming. I still do it now.
Yeah.
I just don't like doing it. It's not my thing. So I took electronics my senior year to learn how computers worked and electronics worked.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of got into what built me to be who I am. I left for the Navy after that.
Those are the seeds that were planted.
Yeah. This is the funny part, right? So I joined the Navy, firefighter in the Navy in Pearl Harbor, hurt my back, come back. When I was a Boy Scout, I eventually had done a project with one of our Eagles at the Red Cross. Turns out I grew up a block from the Red Cross on Elizabeth, not even knowing anything about it, not knowing what the Red Cross was. Sarah Boring was the director of disaster back then, and she found out I lived a block away. She goes, "Hey, just come by and volunteer every now and then. When you're walking home from school, stop here, see if there's anything to help with." Because we had a blast when we did that project. And that really got me going into Red Cross. And that was 35 years ago, I guess now, that I've been volunteering with the Red Cross. Yeah. So I even did it when I was in Pearl Harbor. So after we got in 97, I went to the Red Cross office because we went to dry dock to get upgrades to the ship, and that's generally what happens after you go on your 6-month deployment. You come back and they do stuff to the ship. Yeah. And so I got real big in when I was there. I had a history of what I did here. So when I got back to Midland, I had gotten back into DJing. I did a little bit of high school, old school DJing in high school, change the cassette tape. All right, next song, ghetto DJ.
It was incredible when they put that mechanism on there. We go to the next song. Right. You got to fast forward, stop.
So I get from the Navy, and I swear I'm never going to do IT stuff. Don't want to work on computers. I was like, it was a cool thing. My original goal was to go to work for the Red Cross when I got out of the Navy. Interviewed for a job down in Austin. They picked someone local over me. So I've done odd jobs, but DJing back then was what I was kind of my passion. So I worked with B93, a lot of live DJing back with Slow Motion. That's back when we actually did the live show. There'd be 7 of us DJing together at night.
Oh, wow.
30-minute sets. We just keep rotating out all night long, DJing at the clubs here, running around with Slow Motion, working at the car show with Nick Hernandez.
Yeah, wow.
So I spent a good chunk of about 10 or 15 years just DJing, and that's all I did.
Oh, wow.
And then working day jobs.
What was your DJ name?
Howley.
Howley?
Yeah.
Already.
It's just basically the same as Cracker, Leto. It's a derogatory term for white boy or non-islander.
Gotcha.
But it was Hawaiian,
Right.
There was a teen club, the Underground, over on Big Spring Street. That's where I started DJing at my turntables and really learned to mix on with wax.
I was going to say, that's back in the wax
days. Yeah. And, that's where I got my start in. Started with EDM and then got me into hip hop. Taught me how to mix. That's what I was known for. I could mix anything. Like I told you, I love doing quinceañeras because you can play anything. Uh-huh. You could mix, you could be playing a cumbia, everybody just jamming along, and suddenly the Fat Joe's in the background. Like, what do I do?
Lean back. Lean back.
Wait, what am I doing here? And I love doing things like that.
Well, that's the art of DJing.
Yeah. So went to Carlsbad for a while, worked at the radio station there. My boy DJ X Band, we DJed together for years. And then I came back, to end up doing IT, working over at Till Vista in Odessa, doing tech support for DSL for Verizon back in the day. And then got my own tea company and ran that for years. So in the midst of all that, I'm a gamer. So I play video games. I always played video games, had a Atari, had a Nintendo, had a Sega, had a Super Nintendo, good times. And this game came out on PS2 called SOCOM. It's the first online multiplayer game on console. Yeah. And I loved it. Third-person shooter, got really good at it, started competing when tournaments came around, and that's where I found Urgent Fury. So I didn't create Urgent Fury. We actually bought it somewhere around 2009 or so. But we competed in Urgent Fury. And what Urgent Fury was known for, and this is Billy Weeks, I don't think I told you about this, is a scenario-based tag map tournament. It sounds like a big kind of wow, but you do know the game Risk.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
The board game.
Right. The board game Risk. Yeah. Okay. So imagine playing Risk, but replacing the dice with a match on SOCOM.
Replacing the dice with the game.
Yeah. So you're the attacking team, I'm the defending team. Instead of rolling the dice to figure out who wins the territory, we play a match in SOCOM.
Gotcha.
And that was the tag map tournament. That's what we did. We competed in. Our clan, Known Outlaws, were infamous for breaking the tag map tournament because we were playing, I guess it's around SOCOM 3. We were playing in the match, and after 26 weeks of them trying to get us eliminated because we were down to one territory, they finally said, no, we're done. You're first, you're second, you're third. We're no more.
Oh, wow.
26 weeks, 4 matches a week, 2 attacks, 2 defends, and we'd gain a territory, then we'd lose it. But our last territory, no one could get us out. They would change rules, like no rocket launchers or no snipers, or they tried everything, and we just had it on lockdown. Yeah. And they couldn't eliminate us, the other 2 teams. So it was insane. It's of taking, I guess Call of Duty is the best example. Everyone's familiar with how Call of Duty works, and you're playing. Only difference is it was no respawn, so it's like search and destroy, one life.
Gotcha.
But you take what you feel playing in that video game, and then you add that layer of the tag map. It makes it so immersive. Yeah. Because not only are you just trying to win, you have strategies. You got to figure out, because each territory had a different map to it, a different mode to it. Right. So depending on what you did, determined what you played. And so we did that for years. That was
for years.
That was a bread and butter of what Urgent Fury was all about.
So that first one, that really is immersive on different levels.
Yeah.
Right? Not just so you immerse in the game with different layers, but then you have a whole time frame where you have to call out strategy.
Yeah.
And like you're in a war scenario.
Exactly.
So you're gathering the generals around, making sure your troops are.
Yeah, talking about, okay, let's see if we attack this territory against this team, we know we have a better chance of winning. But if we take this territory, does it open us up to another thing like that? Yeah, so there's all kinds of strategy to it. And we're still trying to bring that back. Call of Duty players really don't understand that immersiveness, so we're working towards that, and we'll try to get back to that someday. Yeah. But so come around to PS3, and SOCOM 4 being announced. The new SOCOM goes out. And mind you, this whole time I've got my IT company. So at this point, I'm traveling all over the country working on a project for Target stores, doing networking. I never said I was going to do IT again. I made so much money doing IT.
That's IT how you know projects. When you do something, you say you're never going to do it again.
Yeah. So we go to E3. Now, for those that don't know what E3 was, it was the industry. It was industry of the annual show where all the game companies showed off their new games for the next year. Media was invited, industry personnel, a lot of networking and stuff like that. And networking is everything. I talked about BMI. I was a member of that back in the day when I was my IT company, because that referral business is so important. We started going to E3. We go there the first year, and that's when SOCOM 4 is being shown off at E3. So, of course, we're fanboys at this point of SOCOM, because we've been working on it so long. Yeah. Using it as our game. So we go find them at the booth, at the Sony booth, our shirts on with our Urgent Fury logos, ball casts we had made, total fanboys, and we're like, oh, we want to play.
Yeah.
Immediately, the dev's like, oh, you guys are from Urgent Fury. And we're like starstruck. What do you mean? You know who we are? He goes, absolutely. Your guys' tournaments are, no one else does that. And, we never thought anything about that.
Just did them.
We just did them, and we loved the game. So we saw basically the whole time there with guys at SoCon. And at the time, Cade Peterson was one of the community managers, great friend of mine now. He heard us talking to them. He was a community manager for PlayStation and wanted to know a little more about us because he saw the reaction of the devs and their interaction with us and how excited we were about the game. So I told him, this is kind of what we do. And he's like, cool. Let me get your number. I'm going to call you in about 6 months. I have an idea. And didn't think anything of it. Yeah. So we continue working on stuff. At one point, they send us out to the studio. They have a community day. And we were brutally honest. We knew as a community what we expected out of the game. And they made a lot of changes to the game. Mm-hmm. And we told them that. And they brought a bunch of us out there. They brought us in for media day because at the time we were doing our own podcast and all that stuff. And, that's kind of where they kind of saw our place initially as a fan site. So we give our feedback after going out there and do our thing. And then a couple months later, Cade reaches out to me. And I'm like, okay, I remember you. What's up, man? He goes, have you ever thought about doing a kind of like think of a podcast, but a podcast like a TV show? I go, what do you mean? So back on PS3, there was this game, I'm going to call it that, called PlayStation Home. It's almost more like Ready Player One. Okay. It was a virtual world. Yeah. And on PlayStation 3. And they had a theater in there where they had their own reality TV show called The Tester that PlayStation did, and they competed and did different things. And whoever won the tester got a job with Sony for a year. Oh. Yeah. So, but he told him, we want to bring some community members into this and have you guys do shows. And so, we talked about it and we're like, this is cool. We can do this. I was going to say, we went ghetto. So the Virgin Fury, Patrick, who we call Commander Fury's got this old raspy radio voice. He's, about 10 years older than I am. The old wrestler, still works in radio. Nice. He's a program director over on the East Coast and Southern Pines. But what he did is he did a lot of the, stabs, some of the voiceover stuff. And then he had a buddy that was in a clan who was British. So accent, look, everything. Jack UK was his gamer tag. So he put a green sheet in the garage so that then we had a green screen. This is before you could just buy an Elgato green screen. That's right. Perfect. Right. So, and then rigged up an iPad on a ladder as his teleprompter with his son, managing that. And we would record him in front of a green screen. And then we built this TV show around trailers and gaming news. Average episode was like 20 minutes long because that's what the feedback we got from Cade was, here's what you want to do. You don't want it to be too long. Mm-hmm. And so it was crazy. Working with PlayStation is nuts. They own my soul, basically. I've signed so much paperwork working with them over the years. But every episode had to go through legal. Started with a disclaimer from Sony that we had to play before anything came on the screen. We had this disclaimer that we would play. And every episode would get submitted to Sony. They'd go through it, tell us to make changes or change something we said in the script, and we'd make adjustments. After the second episode, we never had to make a change. We figured it out. We figured out what they wanted. They got to like, that was a good episode. And then they would send it off. We put in, we were the second highest watched show on PlayStation Home for a year, behind the tester. Yeah. How are you going to compete with PlayStation? What they got you. Yeah. So, we did that for a year, promoting different stuff, doing gaming news, doing tournaments. And the whole driving back then is, we had always talked about we want to do a live event. Now, back then, live events weren't very far and few between because, networking was tough back then.
Right.
Internet, dial up,
Yeah.
but the games were made to be played offline.
Right.
That really didn't change until about 5-6 years ago that Call of Duty finally took it out, which was the biggest mistake they ever made because it makes doing live events such a pain because you got to have really good internet now at the venue like Busch Convention Center. So we always talked about, man, we'd love to do this live, get everybody and have them play in a tournament. We just never kind of got there. 2013, we finally did a live Call of Duty tournament in Chicago. That was our first one. Didn't have any teams show up. I think we had 15 teams, 16 teams show up. PlayStation's all the equipment we needed. It was crazy. Crates of PS3s just shipped there. We unloaded them, set everything up. They sent us the PlayStation TVs, which that device, a lot of people didn't realize how cool it was because it was a 3D TV. But a lot of the games were made to where PlayStation games, I think Resistance was one of them, where you didn't have to have split screen. It worked with the 3D glasses. So each person would wear their 3D glasses, they would see a different screen on the same TV.
That's wild.
Yeah, so there was so much stuff that potential that just never got going 3D.
Yeah.
Of course, 3D is, for a lot of people, was problematic. You wear glasses now, wore glasses back then, so you had to have glasses that fit over your glasses.
Yeah.
And things like that. So cool technologies and stuff. But over the years, our relationship with PlayStation has continued. And, we did a lot of consulting about it, competitive play. And I say it, we've been doing esports before esports was esports because it was, Urgent Fury started in 2002. We're coming on 23 years now.
Wow.
That we've been around. But we would like God of War Ascension. They had a multiplayer mode on there, and we were talking with community management about, we could do some tournaments with this. This could be really cool. And at the end, they kind of pulled the plug on that plan. We worked directly on a game called Starhawk on PS3, which was kind of a build and battle game, so you could build your base and defend it and all that stuff. Yeah. And we ran a full-on tournament program for that one that ended with an $18,000 prize pool championship. They sent me a dev unit, could have a spectator view back then, so they created a specific build of the game that was on a disc that only I could have. This goes back to when I just signed my soul to Sony with paperwork, but I still have the dev unit and the game to this day is sitting on my shelf. Matter of fact, I think the disc is still in there because I haven't turned that dev unit on in years. But, we basically get in the game anything. Like, I think one day we were messing around and streaming on Justin.tv. So this, before Twitch became what it is, it was Justin.tv.
Okay. I didn't realize that's where Twitch came from. I remember Justin TV.
Yeah. So we got in there. So let's see how far we can go in this map. And we just started flying off into the stratosphere and just kept going. And eventually the game finally just shut down because it crashed. Because it didn't know what to do.
Going stretch.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. It was like, this guy's gone off. And it was funny. We were having fun with it. But all of this time, the motto of Urgent Fury is win with honor, lose with dignity. And it goes back to that sportsmanship piece. Yeah. Because in SOCOM, we had game lobbies. So the expectation is, after the match, no matter good or bad, how good or how bad, you said good games and you left the lobby and you went and did your complaining and arguing.
Venting somewhere else.
Venting elsewhere. You didn't fight with the other team. Yeah. Just like football, you shake hands, walk out, and then the coach yells at you in the locker room for screwing up.
Yeah.
Hey there, bookworms and knowledge seekers. Ever wished you could find everything you need in one place? Look no further than the Ector County Library. We're not just about books, though we've got plenty of those, from the latest page-turners to classic favorites. We're talking free high-speed internet, tech classes to boost your skills, and awesome programs for all ages. Kids can dive into storytime adventures, teens can hang out and study, and adults can join book clubs or learn something new. There's always something exciting happening at the library. So whether you're a student looking for homework help, a job seeker needing resources, or just someone who loves to learn, we've got you covered. Swing by your local Ector County Library and see what we're all about. It's more than just books. It's a whole world of possibilities. Ector County Library. Your adventure starts here.
So in 2023, kind of leading up out of this.
Well, I want to hold on there because I think you're missing something that's super cool.
Okay.
Right? PlayStation. You designed a controller for them.
So, okay. That goes back to working with Cade. We eventually created what's called the PlayStation MVP program. And it was like a street team for PlayStation. And the Cade reached out to me and said, hey, they want you guys, a few of the guys, to help us with designing the controller for PS4. Again, all kinds of NDAs, all this other stuff, because we can't leak any of this stuff. And he said, send me a list of the competitive gamers we have in our group. So we sent them a list of like 4 or 5 of the team that were hardcore competitive gamers, because that's what they were looking for. They wanted to get a feel for the competitors. And it wasn't just us involved. There were several, test groups, but our team got to be involved with that design, doing feedback. They would send out models to everybody. Again, lots of secrecy. It's so easy to want to leak it out, right? And real proud of our team. No one leaked anything. It helped make the MVP program even bigger, for sure, because we were around for all the way through the release of the PS4 and probably the next year after, and then they kind of just dissolved it, saying that the PS4 blew everyone away. So they're like, well, I don't think we need the program anymore, and they were making changes. So that's when that dissolved. Matter of fact, we were there at E3 at the press conference when they announced the PS4. And for those that know the history of E3 press conferences, it was always Xbox first and then PlayStation. So Xbox did theirs in the morning. PlayStation did theirs in the afternoon. And it's a big party. At lunch, everybody gets here. They have these lines of food trucks. You go, you eat, then you go into the auditorium, and then it's the big show. And there's this infamous video on YouTube after all the announcements from Xbox, particularly one said you could share games. And so Shu and Adam Boyer back then, on a whim, backstage before they come out to announce the PS4, shoot a video. And I'm like 5 minutes before the show, shoot the infamous video of Shu and Adam and said, Adam, this is how you share a game on a PlayStation. And Shu hands him a game, and Adam takes it.
Wow. Okay.
And that was despite the announcements on Xbox. So they edited that and put it into the show in that 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. And everybody blew up. In the auditorium. And then on top of that, Xbox announced their price. They'd never done that before.
Okay.
No one had ever announced reveals. They always waited till a little bit later because everyone was waiting to see what the other guy was going to do.
Right.
Xbox announced their price at their press conference that morning. It came in, we're $100 cheaper, So it blew up. There were relationships I had with different companies. And I naturally network. I've always been that way. I'm just kind of a guy that likes to talk to people. And so there were companies that knew me, that were introducing other companies, saying, who can we talk to with PlayStation? We want to be involved with the PS4, because everybody, the writing was on the wall. They thought that was the death of Xbox.
Right.
We wrote a pretty scathing article about Xbox, saying you had to be online and being a military veteran and being out to sea. We didn't have internet back then. Back then we were on deployment, but we played video games all the time. We played dominoes, spades, and video games. StarCraft was one of the big ones back then. But when they announced that you had to be online, I said, what about our military force? Those guys that are in the middle of Kuwait route don't have internet. They don't get to plug their Xbox into the military network so they can have internet. How are they going to play games?
Right.
And a lot of us wrote articles about that were veterans. And that's when they backtracked on that. They had to change it. It was a driving force of all the veteran and the military gamers saying, hey, what about us? How are you going to punish us because we're out serving the country, kind of thing. So that's how we had gotten the control, was the PlayStation MVP program. and our team working on that. The other thing that was added to PS4 was being able to stream live with right from the console. You could connect to YouTube and all that. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of work and testing in that because that's how we got involved with Twitch, because Twitch had made the change to Twitch, I want to say just before that E3. So they didn't have a partnership program. It is now where you know what steps to go to get to be a partner on Twitch. First become the affiliate, then you become a partner. Yeah. That didn't exist back then. It was, you had to be somebody, you had to know somebody. So we met with Twitch at E3, and that's how we became one of the first partners on Twitch, is because we were at E3.
You said you were in one of the first 100, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't remember who told me that from Twitch, but they said, yeah, you guys we're just doing our first 100 to see how this program works. What we didn't do initially was do subscribers. We didn't, because we didn't think there was value in that. Boy, we were wrong. We finally turned that on a few years later. And we don't have a huge subscriber base because a lot of it is when SOCOM died, we kind of died. We had no direction. We weren't really big fans of Call of Duty. It wasn't third person, so it was a different kind of game to us. And we never really latched into it until later. So there was a few years where we really didn't even stream at all. And then even in like 2020, I was gone for half the year because work go up to Utah during the pandemic, and really didn't have time to stream then. So we're rebuilding our streaming base now with our new league. But one of the companies I worked with here in the Permian Basin was Patriot Games over in Odessa. They're on 8th Street. They do retro games. So they sell the old Nintendo stuff. They do Magic, because I was at the release of Magic with Astro Castle when it released back in the 90s. Oh, wow. Back when they were over by Westlake in that shopping center. It's Westlake United in that kind of that loop area. Right. That's his original store was back in there way back in the 90s. So I played Magic as a kid. Didn't keep them on Black Lotuses. Things are worth so much money. Really? Yeah. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Oh, wow. But I got hooked up with Patriot Games after, I can't even remember how I found them, and helped them run the store before I started working at Chevron on the project that I work on. And we were sitting around. I said, I want to do something cool. I want to do something different. We've never done in the Permian Basin. Mm-hmm. I want to do a gaming expo. So we put together the first Texas Battle back in 2023, which is kind of, that's what we've been alluding to this whole time, is getting the Texas Battle Bowl. And so we wanted to include as much stuff as we could. So I did a little research, figure out where I could get consoles, because I didn't have, 30 PCs, 30 PlayStations, 30 Switches sitting around, so we did some calling around, found a place that would work with us to rent us all the hardware we needed. We did a big Magic tournament. We did a big Warhammer tournament. So it's, we call it like a mini DreamHack, just with more games. Yeah. So DreamHack's like the biggest esports gaming event that happens. Okay. It's in Dallas, the end of May. And it's just tournaments. It's just a bunch of tournaments, just like a grand scale. It takes up an entire convention center. Wow. In Dallas, so.
And that's the biggest one around.
Yeah.
It's happening in Texas, man.
Yeah. But the problem is we don't have anything in West Texas. Right. Nothing like this in West Texas. So that's what we wanted. We wanted to fill that void.
That's what you're bringing.
Because we have a really strong Super Smash Brothers community in West Texas. What's called the West Texas region, the communities made their own regions. For us is Abilene, Del Paso, San Angelo, and Amarillo. That's our region for Smash. And so, that was part of it, doing some stuff with there. And so we want to do something big for out here. So we did the Battle Bowl 3-day event, and it didn't do well. We lost a ton of money on it. Yeah. But it was the first time of the show, so we knew it was going to lose money. We didn't know it was going to lose as much money as it did. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it put me in a bad place there for a little bit, because it was heart-wrenching how much money. But the concept worked. Mm-hmm. We had a good turnout on competitors, not a great turnout spectators, but then the Permian Basin didn't really know what to do with that. Right. And we think our pricing was a little too high because we were looking at DreamHack and we're like, well, let's do like half of what they're charging and things like that. We kind of use that as the benchmark.
Yeah.
So we did it, and looking at the show, it was fantastic. Looking at the numbers, it wasn't. And that's what it is. That's part of it. So wanted to do it again in 24. The date we would had done it again, the Horseshoe wouldn't let us do it that weekend. So we couldn't do it in 24. We couldn't get a date. And we decided we wanted to change venues. We really wanted to get to push. And a lot of that is just because the infrastructure is a little better internet-wise.
Yeah.
Ironically, we shut the county down when we were updating Call of Duty on all the machines for the Battle Ball because the network
couldn't handle it.
The network was tied into the county's network. It wasn't separate at the Horseshoe.
Excuse
me. And they had never.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They had never come in.
No
one had hooked up 30 computers and say, okay, update Call of Duty. So they didn't know what was going on. Like IT was franticking, and didn't think anything of it because I didn't expect them to have that all sharing the same network. That just makes sense to me. But that's here nor there.
Yeah.
No one ever thought about that when they designed it back in the day when they built Horseshoe. So we helped them identify a few things they weren't prepared for. But Bush, they've got a dedicated fiber connection right downtown, so they've got some really good internet. And when it comes to Call of Duty, it goes back to what I said a few years ago. They took the LAN option out so that you have to be online, which is so stupid to this day because it makes your events, depending on you, astronomically expensive. Because a lot of these convention centers, the bigger ones, they charge you $20,000 or $30,000 just for the internet connection.
Wow!
When you need that much bandwidth, it's price inhibitive.
Right.
Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. But anyway, so here we are to this year Battle Bowl. We consolidated down the games a little bit. Part of because obviously, if you've been to the Horseshoe is physically bigger. The main hall. So we had to sacrifice a little bit to fit into the bush. We've got the whole building, but we also decided to add panels. We've got a panel room down in the basement in those 3 classrooms. Yeah. 2/3 of it's going to be a panel room where we're doing different things. We'll kind of talk about the agenda here in a bit. And then we've got a streaming lounge down there because so many people are into streaming different things. And it's not just video games. Some people do cooking. Some people do podcasts, things like that. So we decided to make a production room ready so that anybody could come in for free and do like a 30-minute to 60-minute session from the Battle Bowl on their channel.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So we've got that set up. And we're right now we're in talks of expanding and adding the Centennial Plaza to the event so that we can do a concert as well on Saturday night. We're working on that. We're trying to get them to work with us. Obviously the weekend before is July 4th, so they've already got that huge event, and they're like, "Oh, you want to do one right after that?" And so I get it, but that's what they're there for people to book and do events.
So your event's July 11th?
Yeah, July 11th through the 13th. So let's talk a bit about the agenda. And I haven't let you talk at all.
Man, no, it's good. I'm listening, I'm learning, and I'm excited for you, man. This is something you're passionate about,
right? Absolutely,
and that's what the show is about. Who's passionate about what, and how does it impact everybody?
Absolutely. So the agenda is going to play into that, and we'll probably swing off just talking about Friday, and then we can talk more about how this plays into the community, and then we'll come back to the rest of the events. But so all of this we're doing is esports has become its own right in education. And the reason I say this is, Urgent works with Skyfox Studios, who's local here. And then Twisted Method is our Call of Duty esports team. But a lot of our players at Skyfox that play Smash Brothers have gone to school with a scholarship to play Smash Brothers on Nintendo. Full ride scholarships.
To traditional universities.
Yeah. Lubbock Christian University. Like 2/3 of our team go to Lubbock Christian University.
Wow.
Nationwide. Oscar is actually working on his master's and
in esports.
No, computer science is his master.
Okay.
His master's is in computer science, but it's because he plays Smash Brothers.
Okay, gotcha.
And Lubbock LCU is this will be the second year they've won the collegiate championship. So the guys are good.
Yes.
They're good Smash players. So what we decided to do Friday, the 11th, for the Battle Bowl from 9 to 3. So we're going to open at 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. It's going to be open to the public for parents and students. And we've designed the whole panel schedule and events around kids coming in and parents learning how esports plays into their education opportunities and stuff, because not all kids play football. Not all kids play. I was in band. I played football in junior high, but I was like, this is cool. That's not me.
Right.
Where I messed up is I was a swimmer, and I should have kept competitively swimming because I was really good when I was a kid. But parents don't understand. It's still kind of video games. No, you need to be working on your homework.
Do something with your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we decided this time we're going to kind of focus in and educate the community on esports. Yeah. And all of the schools are starting to get into it here now. So
that's a great thing.
Yeah. Midland Christian has a group doing it. Mark, who owns Bahama Bucks, his son's on that team, good friend of mine. And, they've got a really good group. Part of the first team that created the program at Midland Christian, they actually got a scholarship at Baylor to start the esports program at Baylor.
Wow.
Yeah. A&M's got it. Tech's got a program. UTPB, Midland College are starting it. Matter of fact, I think Midland College's esports lab is supposed to be opening this month, if not next. We worked with Dr. Latham and the team over there, some ideas of what to do, what kind of PCs to get and all that stuff, so they can start doing it. And they do a monthly Smash tournament at the college that's free. Pecos ISD's built a new, they built that new career center, and they built an esports lab in it.
That's amazing. Their whole campus is just
amazing. Yeah. What they're doing over there is crazy. They are so far ahead of everybody. And MISD and ECISD are starting to try to do it, but neither of them designed it into their new school buildings. So that's a whole nother problem we're going to try to solve. Crane ISD is getting into it. So schools are starting to get into it. There's a organization called the Texas Esports Federation, I think, TexF, and they built a curriculum. They worked in Region 13 and in the Dallas and Houston area to build an esports program curriculum for the schools to submit to Texas to get it approved to be part of the curriculum. And we've been talking to them a lot, trying to get them to get more involved with West Texas. Yeah. Part of their board he's in Lubbock, so Lubbock's already kind of starting to get into it. Yeah. And the Permian Basin is just behind the 8 ball, but the Texas in general is behind the 8 ball. We're probably about 5 years behind. So it's a great time for us right now. And it's one of the focuses we want to do is that education in esports and being there for the community to help build that. Because, we host tournaments. That's our bread and butter. But those tournaments, now we can help the schools hosting tournaments for them. Yeah. And for the schools, we're not in it to make money off that. We're in that to give the kids the structure they need to compete. Yeah. And still teach them sportsmanship. Because at the end of the day, win with honor, lose with dignity is everything we live by is that, sportsmanship. Right. Without that, it's just the wild, wild west. We don't do that.
Plus, it's more than, sportsmen. Yeah, great. We need that. That's something that's been lost a lot. So if kids are into something, teach them, like traditional values, right? It's like sportsmanship, I love that saying, win with honor, lose with dignity, right? Yeah. I love that, and the fact the schools are getting into it. Yeah. So is this like how about the rest of the country? Are schools getting sports programs?
Oh yeah.
They have been.
Absolutely. There's a huge collegiate sports, there's a huge high school network for esports. And then it starts kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Elementary is really kind of Minecraft, things like that. they find a way to make that
Is
competitive.
that Roblox? Or...
Yeah, Roblox, things like that.
Yeah.
I still don't get Minecraft. It's not my shtick.
Kind of weird, right?
I don't know what's the point. You build things, okay.
What are we doing here?
I mean, it's a digital Lego, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And somehow they're competitive, but the kids start with like Mario Kart, and Smash Brothers is one that all the schools can get behind because it's just fighting with, characters. Get to know characters, and it's not called Mario Kart's racing. So, and Nintendo's easy to work with. You don't have to have it unless you're playing against other schools that are elsewhere. And that's where a lot of the struggle is with the schools, because the, security is so important.
Right.
You got to have, then you throw it that needs to have access to the internet. It breaks all the rules of internet security.
Right. Because you got to open it wide for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Good time.
And real quick, we'll touch on the rest of what we do at the Battle Ball. We've partnered with the Space Force Association, which is moving their headquarters to Midland, to add that. So last year, or in 23, was the Esports and Gaming Expo. We wanted to call it STEM Expo. The reason we didn't call it STEM is it's too close to Steam. And Steam, of course, is a gaming platform.
Okay.
We did that to avoid any confusion, because we didn't want it to seem like a Steam fest.
So that's an interesting deal. And I was going to touch on that when we were talking about schools, the STEM factor, right?
Yeah.
Like these kids that, they don't play football or other sports or in band or anything else, know, and for years, especially, I guess so here in Texas, they've fallen through the cracks.
Absolutely.
And then it just affects the rest of their lives. They could be good at something,
right?
Be part of a community. And then it actually helps them be better in everything else, school, like STEM, sciences, technology.
Entrepreneurs and small business owners, are you searching for ways of taking your business to the next level? BAM is your answer. We specialize in crafting high-performance marketing strategies that put your brand front and center right in the palm of your customers' hands. Not only can we create a premium website full of features that optimize your social media and digital marketing presence, but we ensure that your brand gets multiple views from your target audience and even those visiting your competition. BAM is your go-to solution in the Permian Basin. But we're not just about digital and social media marketing. We're a one-stop shop offering a spectrum of services, including business mentorship, strategic planning, market research, and access to capital. That's right. We can get you funding to expand your business. With BAM, you're not just getting a service, you're gaining a partner committed to your growth for the life of your business. So why wait? Kickstart your journey to success today. Call us to set up a free consultation and discover how BAM can help your business soar above the rest. 432-247-8840. Call today and get your business launched. The BAM BizTalk Podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Pachuco's Restaurant. Craving authentic and eclectic cuisine in Midland? Well, Pachuco's has you covered. Located in downtown Midland at the ever-so-legendary and iconic historic building at 316 North Big Spring Street, Pachuco's blends rich and unique flavors in a conveniently pleasant and vibrant atmosphere. Enjoy the highest quality barbecue, savory tacos, burgers, and a variety of other mouth-watering dishes that reflect the spirit of a true Pachuco cuisine. Real, authentic, and just plain different. Check out their menu at www.pachucos432.com or call 432-218-8806 to inquire, or better yet, just show up and get your shine on. At Pachucos, where heritage, exquisite taste, and hospitality come together for an unforgettable dining experience. Pachucos, Midland, Texas. Now back to the show.
Yeah, so we decided we've added that to the event this year to be more than just gaming. Things like working with the Confederate Air Force to bring out their simulator, so people can fly the simulator. Cool. We've got Venture Robotics that are going to be coming in. Dan's bringing his indoor obstacle course for drones.
Super cool.
So they'll be able to, go through the obstacle course with drones, things like that.
That's super cool.
And we're targeting some of this aerospace industry and STEM industry to come in and have things that we can do. And part of why we're trying to add the park, because if we can add the park in, that means we get Texas Street and we get We could block off Texas on Wall Street. Sorry, I know everyone hates it when that happens, but it allows us to bring in some even bigger interactive STEM vendors, like the Space Force. They can bring out their semi or the Air Force, where they have those interactive stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe get one of the F4s out there on
wow.
display. Something like that.
Yeah.
Those are our ideas, right?
Big ideas.
Dream big. But the Midland's finally starting to diversify. We all grew up here, oil and gas. That's what we do. Yeah. You knew you were eventually going to work in the oil field,
one way or another.
I did my time on the rigs.
I've been there.
Now everybody that's actually worked on a rig throwing a says, "Oh, you were on a rig. You're an NWD." I said, "Well, it's an IT guy. Of course I did." But
my time was there was a hotshot driver.
Yeah, so. You know your worth and know what you know what to do, and know how not to break your back. Mm-hmm. So, but we want with that diversification now. The focus got to start focusing now on aerospace. Yeah. Here in the Permian Basin, since that's going to be our other big industry. Yeah, we've got to start now getting it out in front of the kids. Start that generational growth feeding into the industry. So it's not just feeding into esports; it's feeding into our economy. Right. And everyone wants to leave Midland. I call it the black hole West Texas because I've been everywhere, and I always end up back here.
Coming back. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Midland is not that bad.
No,
we've got stuff to do. People say there's nothing to do here. There's plenty to do,
and it's growing more and more all the time.
We're looking at building a new esports center.
Yes.
And part of that is to help with for the schools to have a place to compete.
Yeah.
So we're looking at properties now on where we can move in and make that work. We've already got in talks with companies about getting PCs. A lot of them will match. So for every one I buy, they'll give me another one. Awesome. So because of the one, they want their name there.
Yeah. Sure.
At the end of the day, it's all about marketing, right? And so we're working on that, and all that plays into the Battle Bowl is our annual championship with all these different games. So this year, just to name off the games, we've got Magic the Gathering, that's cards. We have Warhammer. For those that don't know Warhammer, if you're someone in your family decides to get a Warhammer, get a mortgage. You're going to need it. But that's the little painted they do. They actually do physical wars on a table.
Oh,
with measuring tapes and dice, and it's a really intricate game. But it takes in 2 days. It's going to take 2 full days for 30 players to complete the tournament.
Oh, wow. Okay.
To give you an idea. So that's our tabletop stuff. We have, of course, Smash Brothers, singles and doubles on Nintendo and Mario Kart. So that's our 2 Mario Kart titles, the 3 tournaments for Mario. On PC, we're going to do Rocket League. That was one that was requested from last year, and one that's getting common in the schools. So we're going to do a duos Rocket League tournament. Of course, Call of Duty, because that's our bread and butter is shooters. Right. We actually have our first, what we'll call qualifier for the Battle Bowl is in Miami. The end of the month, we'll be in Miami hosting a tournament there. It's a $10,000 tournament. We've got Street Fighter also on PC because that's really the most popular fighting game. If you watch Evo, normally we'd have Street Fighter and PlayStation, but we didn't have the room to get all 3 consoles. We can't make it fit in there and still be able to get people in the room. Which we need people in the room. We want people to be able to walk around and watch people playing and stuff like that. So we're only doing 2 dozen PCs this year.
So real quick,
you
mentioned Miami as a qualifier.
Yeah.
The only people that would be playing here had to go through that qualifier.
They don't have to go through the qualifier.
Okay.
So much like soccer, I think soccer is probably the best example out here. It's all about seeding, how you get seeded into the bracket. Okay. Because the bracket, if you get a good seed, that means you're playing weaker. Right. It makes for an easier trip to the championship, right? So everyone that competes in the different land events. So we're doing Chicago in January, Miami January, Chicago March, June in Kansas City for the championship. Mm-hmm. The more seeding points you have from the events, the higher your seed is when you get to the Battle Bowl, which in turn means you might have a, just straight easy ride to the finals.
Right. Okay.
Versus some with no seeding, the bottom seed goes against the top seed.
It's rocky.
So you're like, oh my gosh, do I even have a chance?
Right.
And immediately get knocked to the loser bracket on your first match.
Right.
So
gotcha.
There's some colorful terms for bad bracket seeding out there. When it comes to anything, Smash has the same thing. We're doing regionals for Smash. We just did at Permian Basin CommerCon Holiday Edition. We had 70 players sign up, 58 players played in that event for their initial tournament. And we'll do a couple more of those, one at LCU, maybe one in Abilene. And but that's kind of what we've got, going on tournament wise.
Yeah. So that means there's a lot of outside coming in.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And we're working with what used to be DoubleTree. Don't know what they're changing to. I haven't actually talked to the team over there yet to find out what it's going to switch to, but we basically block it off the hotel because, of course, it's
right there.
Yeah, so we have all these people coming in to compete that we want to make sure that they are right there, conveniently located downtown, which is great for all the restaurants and everything like that as well, because they can just walk to restaurants. Right. One other thing that the Horseshoe's missing is that they don't have
element. Yeah,
they don't have hotels. There's no hotels. There's no restaurants.
No.
So county's really got to start working on what they're going to do.
I mean, it's right in the middle of chaos on 20.
Yeah, because they got the bridges finally open.
Yeah.
But, so the Battle Bowl feeds the community and is more for the local community to understand esports and understand that tie-in with STEM. So I'm going to do the quick plug. Pre-sale tickets are already there, txbattlebowl.com. Yeah. So you can get your pre-sale spectator passes and competitor passes. We set it up this year. There's no entry fees for the tournaments. You just buy a competitor pass and you can enter whatever tournaments you want. Just keep in mind, you don't want to enter in two tournaments that are happening at the exact time. Right. Yeah. Not going to work out well for you. Something's going to happen where you can't play and you're going to get a loss. Yeah. But, we've got those, still some vendor booths. I think we've sold pretty much half our vendor booths already.
Okay. So who are these vendors open for?
We don't want the show to be a vendor fair. I'm that out there. Right. So we're not trying to, every square inch of space is just vendor booths. Yeah. We have a lot of walkways and stuff. Now we've had to add additional booths because we've had asked for bigger booths and stuff like that. So we've been readjusting the map. I've got to work on that today. But the other thing we didn't want is 10 booths selling the same exact thing.
Right.
So we for this year, we went with an exclusivity setups. We only have one pop vendor. We only have one 3D art vendor and things like that because it's better for the vendors, right? For sure. Now, next year, if we grow bigger, we might go to 2, limit to 2, because, competition is varieties of spice. For sure. We just don't have that many booths. I think we have 40. I think when I'm done with the adjustments, we're going to have a total of 50 booths for the entire show. Okay. There's not that many, right? Right. So, and then some of those booths aren't even going to be vendors. It's going to be companies trying to, show their stuff.
About promote. Okay. Right. Like a demo. Okay.
Absolutely. So
I might have to get a booth, man.
They're cheap. The 10s are only 400. 10x20s are 600. And that's for the 3 days. 3 days. 3 days on Thursday. Yeah.
Right.
So
do you have like a expected number of the people you're trying to?
We're confident we'll probably have 2,500 people a day. The capacity is 3. Now, if we add the park, that changes everything because that adds an extra 10,000 people. Yeah. But if we add the park, we have plans. Okay. We have plans. Okay. We will sell out.
It's hot, man.
Site will be Saturday night will be the place to be in the Permian Basin. Heck yeah. So that depends on. Well, hopefully, we'll find out this week. We get the park, and then I'll start doing some negotiating with some booking agencies. There we know who we want to bring, and it's going to be someone who's never been in the Permian Basin.
Nice, I like that.
So, and really a genre that hasn't really made it to Midland, the Permian Basin. Okay. Per se. Because like I said, I worked with Nick over the call for years. We brought out here, Baby Bash, plenty of town bands, been plenty of country bands, but there's been a certain genre that's only had 1 or 2 opportunities to play out here.
Okay, talk about being cryptic.
Nah, it gotta be. Because once I announce it, one, we'll have to change our ticket prices. So get your tickets early.
Get your tickets now.
Yeah, because they will it up if we get the part, especially for spectators.
And how much are tickets right now?
20 for spectators.
Okay.
For the whole weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is a good price.
Yeah. That's a 20. That's a 3-day pass.
Okay.
So 3:00. Again, the 9 to 3 is open to everybody, but then we'll kick everyone out except for VIPs, and then we'll start letting the general admission. VIP tickets, we have 150 of each, so 150 competitor passes, VIP passes, and 100 spectator VIP passes, and they have a custom limited edition jersey or shirt, depending on if they're a competitor or not, that they get from the Battle Bowl, signed by our apparel company, Sword Dog.
Okay.
Pretty cool space theme this year because of the Space Force Association.
Yeah.
And it's on the website. You can see it on the website, the different VIP stuff. But at the end of the day, we're in business. Our business is hosting tournaments, hosting competition, make our money. I am not making enough money to not have a day job. I'll tell you that, right? We are a small business, veteran owned. Yeah. I think if I actually did the actual paperwork, I could be, even because of my dad's side of the family is Native American, but I don't chase all that. And this whole time I thought I was Sioux Indian, but I was with my family over the holidays and found out I think we're actually Cherokee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Cherokee. So my business partner, he had a lot of Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I remember right, it's either my grandparents or my great grandparents are full. And I don't look it now, but when I was in Hawaii, they thought I was Samoan because
I can see that
because I don't really sunburn. Now, don't get me wrong, if I'm stupid. I went to boot camp with a 2nd-degree sunburn. I almost didn't get to go to boot camp. The doctor at Met said, "You got to do a squat. You can't make a sound." And because I burned the top of my thighs and the top of feet jet skiing 2 weeks before the lake, all day long on the jet ski, and just you could see it. The short line right there was the line. It was bad. It was bad. But things we do as kids.
Yeah.
But he was at it. He's like, "No, I can't let you go." I said, "Man, I've got to go. I got to go." I would do 1 week in depth to reinvent, start all over from scratch if I didn't go.
Wow.
And he said, "All right, do a squat. If you make it, you can make a face, you can grit your teeth, but if you make one sound, you're not going." It was so painful. Oh my God, it was so painful. And I wasn't a small boy back then. I was 200 pounds, 6'2", 200 pounds when I got out of high school. But yeah. So, we're in it to be in the black. We'll put it that way, right? Yeah. Now, luckily, we've and this is a good tip for any small business owner. I had my IT business for years. Yeah. Really didn't do it until I just want to be able to pay my bills and have a good time. Be able to go to a restaurant and buy whatever I want. Right. That's, for me, wealth is I want to be able to walk into a store and say, "I want to buy that."
Not have to worry about
it. Not even care. Now I'm not talking about walking into Sewell and buying a $200,000 Raptor. Yeah. I'm to that point that I'm rich. Right. Wealthy is comfortable. Yeah. So being able to go to Best Buy is like, "Oh, that's a nice TV. Yeah, fellas, I'll order at that price.
It's time to upgrade.
Take it home." That's wealth to me. Mm-hmm. So this past November, I started working with a marketing agency because for us, what we do, we need that reach. Yeah. We're not a brick and mortar store. Mm-hmm. We're not your traditional. So I need something different to get in front of sponsors and stuff like that. We started working with Knockout Brand Solutions, and their team, Ollie and Janet and their team have done wonders for getting us with partnerships. We have our Charged Chocolate, which you can find at Walmart. Chocolate, they're one of our sponsors for the league. We're doing on Call of Duty on Twitch. We've got Happy Vibes, that's adult gummies, stuff like that. Out of Seattle, that's a doctor. All of their stuff is her big thing. Being a doctor is what's on the labels, actually what's in the product. She's done a lot of work for other companies, and the label doesn't always match. Which to me that's unethical. She said the same thing. concerning it even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that helps pay for what we're doing, and that's what we rely off is sponsorships. So we've got local sponsors. Of course, Mama Bucks, Mark has sponsored everything we've done. He's a real big part of Virgin Fury and a part of wanting to bring esports and gaming into the Permian Basin. Because, like I said, now his son's starting to compete in Smash and does pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's just in junior high, so he's going to be doing it for the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
There are businesses out here that really kind of play into it. You've got Code Ninjas. I think they're still open. I've got to go by and talk and see if they are, because we'd like to get them involved with the Battle Bowl. But, we still got the arcades at Center Chief. So there's gaming all around you.
Yeah.
And I guarantee, 85% of your listeners still play video games.
Yeah.
And probably 85% of that still play Call of Duty, Yeah. But there's a lot of different things. We've got a lot of different retro stores. New store down south of town on Florida's Retro Funk. Sonic is the guy that owns it. He goes by Sonic. He'll be at the Battle Bowl. He's got a booth. A real cool dude. Yeah. Patriot Games in Odessa. You've got Stormcrow that just came here from Lubbock and opened a store. They do the Warhammer stuff and things like. There's an actual tabletop version of Star Wars. I know you're into Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
Careful.
Yeah.
You're going to need a mortgage. But there is a lot of different types of gaming out here that already exist. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do, and they never really gather together. What is the board game place over by Carter's? Oh, I cannot think of what it's called.
Brewery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up because I know we're having a kind of a networking event there next week with Eric. So, the heck is your text? I get so many texts.
Yeah.
When in doubt, search.
There you go.
But they're a pretty cool shop. Oh, it's Waystone. That's what it is.
Waystone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're all about board games. You just go in there. They have a library of board games, tables. They have their own natural brew stuff. They do their own beers and root beer and things like that. So it's family friendly. Even though it serves beer, it's all about family. I've been there quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we'll just go and sit and play one of those big games. When I go to PAX, that's Penny Arcade's big expo they do every year. They do one in Seattle. They do one in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Last couple of years, we've been going to Boston, and they have a whole half of the expo that's just board games. Half of the convention center in Boston is board games.
Oh my gosh.
Tables for board games. And so we go out there and try new board games and just sit there and tell people, because I'm also, as part of the Red Cross, I do gaming, and that's a fundraising.
Gotcha. Okay.
Gaming is a huge fundraising industry for like Children's Miracle Network, Gamers Outreach, Red Cross. All of us have a wing where people stream and raise money for things. Gamers Outreach does they do carts. So it's a game. They take a game system and put them in cart that is hermetically sealed and able to be cleaned, so it can be in a clean space. Because some of the kids in the hospital, they're limited on what can come in the room.
Immune systems,
right. So they've made game systems that are easier to sanitize, and not mess up the system, right? So it's built-in TV, built-in console, controllers, and roll it in, and the kids get to play from their beds. Things like that.
That's super cool. That's awesome.
Extra Life does some similar stuff, and they're part of the Children's Miracle Network. And it's a huge piece of their fundraising every year that they do. And hits the term Extra Life.
Extra Life.
Yeah. So
it goes with the gaming.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So kind of a life thing. Yeah. But
if only there was a code to put in.
Yeah. Tell me about it. But gaming has so much reach now. It's just out of control. You think Gran Turismo, did you watch the PlayStation movie of Gran Turismo?
No.
It's the true story about the kid that went and became I'm trying to think of which race it is. It's the Tour de France. It's not NASCAR, but it's the bigger one, the national race. Anyway, Sony did PlayStation tester, but for the game Gran Turismo, where they brought all these people in and they competed, whoever won drove for Sony.
Oh wow.
The racing team, and it's a true story.
Huh.
I can't think of the kid. I'm horrible with actors, but it's a kid that's also in that movie that was on Apple Plus called C.
Okay.
And it's the guy that plays Aquaman. Yeah, can't think of what his name is. I'm horrible with actors' names, but there he is. What's amazing is all about it's something that happened, and everybody in the world is blind.
Yeah. Huh.
And then
yes.
Yeah, the kid are born and they can see. Well, the son is one of the Gran Turismo.
Okay.
Starring Gran Turismo, but check it out. It's on I think.
Okay.
And of course on PlayStation and stuff like that. True story about him becoming a race car driver, and he won. So not only that, I mean, he won like the actual tournament, the race.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, but things like that. There's so many aspects of gaming role in life.
Yeah.
That you don't think about it. You see it, it's there.
Yeah. For sure, because I think that we were raised, to it's just a game,
right?
And a game, okay, whatever. But it's such a with it that's been building over the years. It's really, I mean, it's in schools, it's getting in universities. You're talking about scholarships here.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that you can get a full ride scholarship to get your master's.
Yeah,
playing a Nintendo video game. Are you serious?
What? Right? Like now, looking back to all those years ago when I
played Golden Guy.
Yeah, well, my game of day, Tecmo Bowl 2, right? It was Nintendo 2. I mean, hey, I was bad with the Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen. I mean, I can take anybody. And then Street Fighter stuff. But other than that, I just never really pursued it.
Right.
But now that there's a future, now that
exactly
you can track. Hey, if I play here and I keep.
Right. And then you look at it, even after college, some of these kids are making, $100,000 a year playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's wild.
Or even more so, $1 million a year playing Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yeah. And this it's a developmental, right? Because just because the traditional, get stuck playing games, that's all you do.
Right.
Right. You're not anything outside of your little bubble.
Absolutely.
Right. That it actually opens kids up, to go and pursue other pursuits.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I talk to a lot of kids. What can I do? What do I do to get into esports? Or what's my path after esports? Good example. So I spent the Christmas in San Antonio with my family, my dad's side of the family. My aunt and uncle celebrated their 50th anniversary. And excuse me. There we go. So spent Christmas with my aunt and uncle. We did their 50th anniversary. And my cousin's, this is going to be crazy. So cousin's daughter's boyfriend, her fiance, graduated from tech with a degree in sports management.
Okay.
So I explained to him, I said, as I was talking to him about, what are you going to do? What are you trying to do? And because that's generally that degree, you kind of go into things like maybe you start in minor league management of a team or something like that. I said, that degree falls into managing esports in schools. Don't discount. It's opened up another avenue that you probably never thought of, because esports really is managed like a sport. It's not physical. It's now going to be a part of the Olympics. Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, Saudi Arabia is going to be hosting that.
Yeah.
So I've got to get my passport now, which is crazy. But there's a lot of different things that goes into esports that you don't think of. Even health, physical training and a lot of that. People don't realize that a lot of these gamers are constantly working out, doing things like that because they have to, or you end up looking like me. But like for example, my GM for Twisted Method, the founder of Twisted Method, Mike, goes by Sergeant Solo. He won my tournament back in 2013 when he was in high school, went to the Marines, got out of the Marines, now he's a police officer in Chicago. And he has a regiment. Every morning he's at the gym. He is always at the gym.
Yeah.
But he's a pro Call of Duty player.
Wow.
You know, Parasite, Chris is the #1 ranked player in Call of Duty at the gym every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's a lot of, there are a lot of even just physical trainer positions that help with the esports guys, making sure they're keeping their regimen, staying healthy, because it's not healthy to sit in a chair all the time.
Right.
That's proof of me at my day job. I gained a lot of weight when I started working at a desk.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Target project, I was walking like 8 miles a night.
Wow.
Inside a store. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Inside of 4 walls, I was walking 8 miles a night.
Jeez.
I was all over the place. We were running network cable. And now, mind you, I wasn't skinny. I wasn't a toothpick, but I was much more fit than I am now.
Yeah.
Back when I was actually in the field doing work.
Yeah.
So
no, it's your brain takes up more energy than you can imagine. Right. So you're sitting there, even though you're still and just moving your hands, your brain's going because you're constantly.
You're computing.
Yes, you're in that mode. You're constantly going. So for it's going to have an effect on your body. But like you take care. I'm sure there's a whole nutrition aspect to it.
Yeah, and kind of like a lot of our partners we work with, Happy Vibes, and the Glitch Energy, Ben, the owner of Glitch Energy, is all about fitness. So all of his ingredients are natural and things like that in his energy.
Yeah.
His energy drinks, it's all powders and stuff like that you add to water.
Yeah.
They got a really cool one, Loopy Fruits. You use it with milk. So think about after eating a bowl of Fruity Loops and the milk left over.
Right.
That's what it tastes like.
It's
so cool.
Yeah.
But it's an energy drink.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's one of the ones I'll use in the morning on the weekend.
The best part of the cereal.
Yeah, exactly. The milk afterwards. So it's things like that. It's not just playing video games. There's a whole ecosystem that feeds it. Yeah. And a lot of opportunities out of school, like computer science, things like that, where you go into the industry making games. Now, I'll tell you, that's a tough industry to work in because you never know how long you're going to have your job because once the game's done, they lay off a lot of people. It's all project work.
Right.
So if you're good with doing project work, it's a great life. But there's community management, there's marketing, there's legal. The gaming industry has its own type of business law around like an intellectual property and things like that, trademarks that are So we have a huge legal team that supports us in everything we do, just to make sure we're up and up on everything we're doing.
Yeah.
There's licensing we have to deal with the developers a lot of times when we're working on projects. So it's not just actually playing the video game. There's a lot of opportunity to work in the industry outside of being in front of the screen.
100%. So that's what really blew my mind going through this is like it's parallel in that way with sports.
Yep. Exactly.
Because just like you need a sports agent, the marketing, the PR, the trainer, the nutritionist, the facilities, the networks, there's just so much that surrounds it. Of course, legal, so much that surrounds it.
Yeah.
That's what this is. That we're for the longest time we're just like, okay, well that's not. Yeah,
that's not a real thing. Yeah.
Right. But lo and behold, it's not only a real thing, but it can be a positive to our society in general, I believe.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to hear you talk about it and excited to see it grow.
Absolutely.
Because here in Midland, in West Texas in general, like you said, we always seem to be a little bit behind. But I think, how you pull a rubber band back and this back is behind. I think before long, because what you have planned to come out here, we're going to shoot ahead.
Exactly.
Space Force coming and getting behind you. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things to come. So we'll probably have to do this again in about a year and say, okay, this is where we're at next. See what the next big announcements are.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'd like to maybe do you said you're going to have podcasts inside.
Yeah.
I might just go there and do a podcast.
Get you set up with your live YouTube and do it live, live on YouTube from there on your channel.
Man, I'm down.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Shane, I appreciate you, what you're doing. I'm excited for what you're doing. Let the people know again what's coming up, where they can find you, where they can follow you at.
Yeah, absolutely. So our main site's urgentfury.com. That's where we've got our community of over 20,000 gamers. But the Texas Battle Bowl is txbattlebowl.com. That's where you can go learn about the events, buy tickets, want to get a booth, want to sponsor, whatever. That's all on the txbattlebowl.com website. And there's a lot of opportunities outside of just the Battle Bowl, but since this is kind of geared around the Permian Basin, this is a great opportunity to market to the local area, because we're going to be we'll start as we get closer into the spring. You'll start seeing our heavy marketing push going in, and of course we'll bring all of our sponsors along for that.
Super cool. And this is a show for entrepreneurs, innovators, people who are figuring it out. Not trying, but they're figuring it out. They're doing it. They're action oriented. You got any parting words for them?
Absolutely, man. So one, a no is an opportunity for a yes.
Love it.
You're going to be told no all the time. Get used to that. It happens.
No.
When they tell you no, ask them why. Don't be afraid to say, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I could have done differently, or do you have any feedback for me? Because that helps you as you're moving forward.
Right.
It doesn't always work with the sales when you're trying to sell something, right?
Yeah.
But it never hurts to ask.
For sure.
And the other thing is, don't stop doing. You've got to, if you believe in what you're doing, if you're passionate about what you're doing, you've got to keep going. There will be a time where you realize, okay, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And you make changes and it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Right.
If you fail doing one thing, everyone that's an entrepreneur has it in them. They want to do something. Yeah. If your idea may not be the right one for you at that time, don't be afraid to just get on a different horse and go back down that path.
Yeah.
Because it's a bug. It really is.
Yeah.
And I'm a perfect example. DJ'd forever.
Uh-huh.
Had an IT company forever. Yeah. Did consulting. I do gaming.
Yeah.
I volunteer at the Red Cross still for 35 years. All my management skills I learned as a volunteer with the Red Cross, because now I'm up at the top of the food chain. When at a disaster event locally, I'm one of the ones running the show, because I've been doing it so long, and I've learned
how to manage teams.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when you start managing people, you've got to manage with the people, not be the on the throne.
Right.
Remember, people leave bad managers. I manage managers in my day job, so I don't have frontline employees anymore, because I've been up in the upper management. But people leave bad managers, and I've had my flaws. And I tell my team, and you need to tell your team that's working for you, be open and honest, give feedback. Now, be professional about it.
For sure.
Tell them, it's like, if I'm not managing in a way that you or something like that, don't be afraid to say, hey, I understand what you were trying to do, but the way you came off was wrong. And that's one of the things I've struggled learning over the years is I come off very direct and harsh when in managing. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, hey, can you do this for me? I say, well, go do this. So it's the little things about working with your team of, instead of giving a directive, ask them to do it. Don't be afraid to ask for opinions of a process. You would be surprised. The quiet one may be able to tell you, if we do it this way and it ends up saving you $100,000. It's those little things. So give your team opportunity, give input 100%. To help grow your goals 100%. And share your vision.
It gives them buy-in.
Right. Yeah. And absolutely share your vision.
Yeah.
Be transparent about your vision and get that buy-in on your vision. That helps your company grow.
100%. Love it. Great advice, Shane.
Absolutely.
Well, appreciate you. And looking forward to Esports in West Texas. For sure.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, brother. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.